The Kingdom of Asturias. The reigns of Ordoño I, Fruela, Alfonso III, and Fruela II of Asturias. Today, folks, is the final episode of the saga of the realm of Asturias, and like all things, it comes to an end. Our history begins with Ordoño I, born in Oviedo, where he spent his early life at the court of Alfonso II, probably raised in the city of Lugo, capital of the province of Galicia, of which his father Ramiro has been named governor. There he was educated, including military arts. Ordoño was named governor of Galicia when his father went to Vardulia to marry Paterna, his second wife. While he was away, Alfonso died, and the nobles elected Count Nepocian as king. Ordoño immediately began to raise an army to assist his father in claiming the throne. He could not leave his post in Galicia to help, however, and his army went unused. When his father finally prevailed, he confirmed Ordoño in his provisional position. On February 1st, on 850, he succeeded his father as king, being the first king of Asturias to not be elected and actually ascend to the throne. His first confrontation was with the Basques, who rebelled with the support of the Banu Qasi. While returning to Oviedo after defeating the rebels, he received the news of an impending Moorish assault on Vardulias. Before the Moors could attack, he met them near the Ebro and defeated them. These victories meant little in the long run, for the governor of Zaragoza, Musa, fortified the city of Albaida. In 859, Ordoño defeated him at Albaida, besieged and razed the city. He supported Christian rebels under Moorish rule, which cost him at 854, but this fiasco only incited him to consolidate the desert of the Duero, the depopulated region between the Asturian Cordillera and the River Duero. He directed the repopulation efforts to the towns of Leon, Talamanca, Astorga, Tui, and Amaya. He intended to advance against the governor of Tudela and thus control all access to the Navarre and the Basque country. But the Emirate of Cordoba responded with the invasion and sacking of Alava. At Bureba, the Arabs defeated Rodrigo, first Count of Castile, and set back the Reconquista for years. Ordoño married Muniadona, and he had 6 children, including his successor, Alfonso III. Ordoño died in Oviedo and was succeeded by his eldest son. On a side note, about Vimara Pérez. Vimara was a vassal of the King of Asturias, Alfonso III, and was sent to reconquer and secure from the Moors, Arabs, and the Berbers who had invaded Visigothic Spain. In the west coastal fringe of Galicia, the area from the Minho River to the Douro River, including the city of Portuscale, later Porto and Gaia, from where the name of Portugal emerged. The Kingdom of Asturias was divided internally into several counties, or royal provinces. Portuscale was one of these Asturian counties. In 868, Vimara Pérez was named Count of Portugal by King Alfonso III after the reconquest of the region north of the Douro River. Later, Portuguese historians viewed this event as the earliest milestone in the history of the state of Portugal, although Portugal did not achieve independence until uh, the 20th century. He was able to expel the Moors and founded a fortified town under his own name, Vimaranes of Vimar, which later became Guimarães, present-day Guimarães. The Portuguese called it the Cradle City. Vimara Pérez died in 800 73 in the territory of A Coruña. Fruela the Usurper was briefly king of Asturias in 866 after usurping the throne from Alfonso III. Prior to seizing the throne, Fruela was a county in or of Galicia. There he presided over a legal hearing in Lugo on the 5th of June of 861. The hearing took place in the presence of the Lord Count Fruela, and he adjudicated. He later got into legal dispute over the villa of Carcassia, the diocese of Ira Flavia. After assuming power, he confiscated the land in question. When Ordoño I died on the 27 May 866, his son Alfonso, either 14 or 18 years old, succeeded him. A charter issued by Alfonso on 18 June of 866 attests to his succession. Sometime after that date, Fruela seized the throne and forced Alfonso into exile in Castile or Alava. Within a few months, the usurper had been assassinated in Oviedo. Alfonso's restoration had taken place by 20 January in 867, when he restored to Iria Flavia the land that Fruela had confiscated. The charter was confirmed by Count Rodrigo of Castile, who had evidently returned with Alfonso to Oviedo. He may have had a role in defeating Fruela. Alfonso III, called the Great, was the king of Leon, Galicia, and Asturias from 866 until his death. He was the son and successor of Ordoño I. In later sources, he is the earliest to be called the Emperor of Spain. He was also titled Prince of all Galicia. Alfonso's reign was notable for his comparative success in consolidating the kingdom during the weakness of the Umayyad princes of Córdoba. He fought against and gained numerous victories over the Muslims of Al-Andalus. During the first year of his reign, he had to contend with an usurper, Count Fruela of Galicia. He was forced to flee to Castile, but after a few months, Fruela was assassinated, and Alfonso returned to Oviedo. He defeated the Abasque rebellion in 867, and much later a Galician one as well. He conquered Oporto and Coimbra in 868 and 878 respectively. In about 869 he formed an alliance with the kingdom of Pamplona and solidified this link by marrying Ximena, who is thought to have been daughter of King Garcia Iniguez, or less likely a member of the Ximenes dynasty, and also married his sister, Leodegundia, to a prince of Pamplona. His father, Ordoño, had begun the repopulation of the border territories, and Alfonso continued with it. His first successes were in Portuguese lands, where King Alfonso troops succeeded in locating the southwestern frontier on the Mondego River. Count Vimara Pérez in 868 conquered Oporto and repopulated the district. In 878, the army of King Alfonso III, with Count Hermenegildo Gutierrez in command, faced the Muslim forces led by the Emir of Córdoba, Mohammed I, who had started an attack against Oporto. After defeating the Emir forces and expelling the Muslims inhabitants of Coimbra and Oporto, Guterres, Christian troops occupied and repopulated other cities, such as Braga, Viseu, and Lamego, with men taken from Galicia, Coimbra, Lamego, and Viseu, were conquered again in 987 by Almanzor, and it was not until 1064 when they were finally reconquered by King Ferdinand I of Leon. Alfonso III had to face the offensive of the Umayyad prince of Al-Mundir, son of Muhammad I. Fighting occurred almost constantly between 875 and 883. The first Umayyad raids were aimed at Lyon and El Bierzo, but failed. The Christian counteroffensive ended with the taking of Deza and Atienza. Abd al-Rahman Ibn Marwan, the Galician lord of Merida and rebel against the emir of Cordoba, sent him to ingratiate himself with him to the minister of this, Hashim ibn Abdan al-Azib. Accordingly, in 878, Al-Mundir directed his armies back to Lyon and Astorga, while Salid ben Ghanim reached the Orbigo. Alfonso, hoping to prevent the union of both armies, went out to meet the second, which he defeated in the Battle of Polvororia, at the confluence of the Orbigo and Esla rivers. Almundir then withdrew, but Alfonso III intercepted him in the valley of Valdemora, where he defeated him. Muhammad was forced to pay ransom and sign a 3-year truce, the first time that Cordoba had asked for peace. Both kings considered the truce as a pause while preparing for the next assault. Muhammad raised a fleet to attack Galicia, but was destroyed by a storm. Alfonso and Ibn Marwan descended through the Tagus Valley and defeated the Cordovan army on Mount Oxford, next to the Guadiana River. As revenge, Muhammad attacked the kingdom of Zaragoza in 882, where Alfonso had sent his son Ordoño to be educated with the Banu Qasi, sons of Musa, advancing through the ancient Roman road to Leon. There was exchange of prisoners, and the Cordovans withdrew. They repeated the campaign in 883 with the same result. In 884, Muhammad I and Alfonso III signed a peace, since both began to have serious internal problems. The great king was met with a rising led by his brothers Fruela, Ordoño, and Bremudo, who became strong in Astorga, supported by several counts, but were quickly defeated and executed. In 901, the Umayyad rebel Ibn al-Qit proclaimed Mahdi, preached holy war, and attacked Zamora, rebuilt and repopulated by the Mozarabic Toledo, the most important advanced square of the Asturian kingdom. She was able to resist. The messianic leader, abandoned by his own, was defeated and killed in battle, on what is known as the Day of Zamora. In those years, the Emirate of Cordoba, racked by civil disorder, stopped disturbing the kingdom of Asturias. Alonso faced off against his former allies in Merida and the Ebro Valley, allied with the Count of Palas. He instigated a coup that managed to defeat the Banu Qasi and install a Navarrese, Sancho Garces, on the throne of Pamplona. He ordered the creation of 3 chronicles, which presented the theory that the kingdom of Asturias was the rightful successor of the old Visigothic kingdom. He was also a patron of the arts, like his grandfather before him. He built the church of Santo Adriano de Tunom, according to a letter of disputed authenticity dated to the 906. The Spitola ad Fonseri Spani Regis Alfonso arranged to purchase an imperial crown from the Cathedral of Tours. In 909, Alfonso relocated to the seat of his government to Oviedo, according to Sampiro. His sons Garcia, Ordoño, Gonzalo, Fruela, and Ramiro conspired against him. Under the influence of Garcia's father-in-law, Alfonso had Garcia imprisoned, but the conspirators were able to free him and he fled to Borges. However, Alfonso later convinced Garcia to join him in a campaign against the Moors. Alfonso died in Zamora of natural causes in 910. Having reigned for 44 years, Ibn Hayyan likewise tells of an uprising, but says that Alfonso himself was imprisoned. Following his death, the kingdom was divided among his sons. His eldest son Garcia became king of Leon. The second son, Ordoño, reigned in Galicia, and Fruela received Asturias with Oviedo as his capital. These lands would be reunited when Garcia died childless, and Leon passed to Ordoño, while on Ordoño's death, the lands were reunited under Fruela. However, Fruela's death the next year initiated a series of internecine struggles that led to unstable succession for over a century. He was also responsible for some cultural material sources, as for example the Albedense Chronicle, the Prophetic Chronicle, the Chronic of the Visigothic Kings. Now to Fruela II, was the king of Asturias from the death of his father Alfonso III of Asturias in 910 to his own death in July of 925. When his father died, the kingdom was divided, with the third son Fruela taking the original portion of Asturias, the second Ordoño taking Galicia, and the eldest Garcia taking Leon. As king of Asturias, he had the job of consolidating the region later called Castile and keeping the counts in check. Fruela's mother was Jimena of Pamplona. He himself married twice, first to a woman of a Norwegian named Nunila, and his second wife, Urraca. According to Ibn Khaldun and Ibn Hazin, that was the daughter of the Banu Qazi, governor of Tudela. They were married by 917. Fruela maintained good relations with his brother, Ordoño, who had the hegemony. They cooperated in the Reconquista, and Fruela undersigned Ordoño's diplomas as Fruela Rex with his second wife, Urraca, Regina. When Ordoño died in 924, the magnates ignored his heirs and elected Fruela king. Fruela had never been popular with the nobles and his subjects, and his elections had been doubted by some, who see as a likely usurpation. He assassinated Gebuldo and Arenecinto, sons of Olmudo, claimed descent from King Witiza, and thus further alienated the nobility. For this, one chronicle relates he was condemned to a reign of only 14 months, according to Ramon Remenedes Pidal. He exiled the Bishop of Frumino of Leon, a relation of Olmudo. Whatever the case, he did reign for a mere 14 more months and died early summer in 925, some say after having contracted leprosy. Following Fruela's death, there were several competing claimants to his lands, including his younger brother Ramiro, who appears to have married the widowed Queen Urraca and used the royal title but was eventually unsuccessful, and the sons of his brother Ordoño II along with his own young sons. There is some debate as to the immediate succession, though eventually his family lost out of that of brother Ordoño. According to Bishop Pelayo, he left three sons by Nunila, Alfonso, Ordoño, and Ramiro. Ibn Khaldun gives Ordoño and Ramiro to Urraca, and leaves open the possibility of other children by either wife. The situation with the peninsula in overall. Despite the days and the times of the Kingdom of Asturias had come to an end, its legacy has lived on. Galicia, Leon, Castile would continue fighting back Al-Andalus for the decades and centuries to come. Pamplona, Navarre would make Aragon of the region or the region of the former Banu Qazi in a vassal, weakening the holds of Al-Andalus in the north, as the County of Barcelona would prosper and thrive. The end.